Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Beam TV Phoenix City production of a recap of what went on at the 44th running of the National 100. I'm Wesley Outland of Fox Sports and MAV TV, and I am joined also by the driver of the Roman numeral 21 out of Forston, Georgia, Don Cook. Can I say the Cracker on the broadcast, a.k.a. the Cracker? That's his nickname, and we'll find out about that, and you'll find out why I call him that nickname here in a minute. Don, it's great to have you on the set, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely. So, talk about just your racing career. I mean, a lot of people know the name Don Cook, whether it's being a driver, promoter, just an all-around great person.
I've been racing I started racing motorcycles at the age of 9, so I've been racing around here all my life. I mean, we raced motorcycles for approximately 10, 15 years all over the country. And we started racing four-cylinder cars, had great success racing four-cylinder cars. And then we went up the ladder, raced a little bit of everything, and then when it got so expensive, we just sort of mellowed out in the middle.
Absolutely. Now, you're going to check out video highlights of the 44th running of the National 100, of course, with Don Cook. And we're going to also kind of show the highlights of daytime racing and nighttime racing in this segment here, this CTV Channel 7 production on Beam of daytime racing, the night. Totally a different animal, and of course we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But recapping what was the 44th running of the National 100, first off, Don, what was your thoughts of that race, having to reschedule it, which was originally in November, and running it in January?
Well, he didn't have no choice, really. I mean, there was races going on all over the country, and he had to get it in when he could, so I mean, this was the best time. I know it wasn't the greatest weekend for the cool weather and all, but the rain right before it, but it is what it is. I mean, we all wanted to go racing.
Absolutely.
And we did.
And for the 190 cars that showed up in 10 classes, and for the fans that showed up, and the pit passes, and the fans that were in the pits, on behalf of Billy Thomas and everybody at East Alabama Motor Speedway, we thank you. Because again, it was tough, Don, trying to put a race on. You've been a promoter before. Talk about that role of being a race car driver and being a promoter of the racetrack, and why you got out of it.
I got out of it because of Facebook. The internet's not for car racing. I mean, in my opinion, car racing and the internet just don't work. It don't. You got too many people out here. One's crying about this, the other one's whining about this. Before you know it, you got a full-blown mess on your hands.
So do you feel like a standard needs to be set of, if you bash the track, if you bash the series, you should be fined, you should be penalized? And as being a driver like yourself, Don, would that be something that you would accept if something like that came to fruition?
Well, it's according to what you said, and if you had a reason to say it, more or less. I mean, you can't just knock the place all over. I mean, heck, the man had a wet racetrack on Monday and Tuesday, and about underwater. I mean, here it is Thursday and Friday. We ready to go racing. I mean, we couldn't even pull the cars in there the Friday morning, the trucks and trailers in the car. So, I mean, he did a fabulous job. I mean, from my opinion, we didn't have quite as many fans as we should have had. But then again, where else can you go? You can't go to the movie theater for $25 a night. So you just as well come watch a live car race than go to a picture show.
Absolutely.
That's going to be on the TV later on in life.
And some awesome entertainment. We're actually going to go to the video now, and we're going to show you, courtesy of DirtOnDirt.com, some of the highlights of what was the National Late Model Supercar Series event. As you look on your monitor, me and Don will kind of narrate things. I'll kind of not be in the play-by-play mode like I normally am. So in addition to all the cool things that are going as you're looking on the monitor, you look at the restart here, or actually the original start. Dalton Cook on the fast qualifier, setting a fast time on the pace. Look at this Don Cook, 3 and 4 wide racing between Rodney Martin and 92 on a Parkhurst. Off the racetrack goes the defending Phoenix City, East Alabama champion in Dana Island, and they quickly throw the caution flag, and they have to reset again.
And then here they come again down the front straightaway, and it looks like Dalton's going to take the lead.
Dalton Cook does get a jump on the restart here, as here comes Joseph Brown. Couple of drivers out of the Columbus, Phoenix City area. Both in, one is in the Icon by Barry Wright, the 1D of Dalton Cook. He was the runner-up in the National Late Model Supercar Series points. But again, Don Cook, 3 wide racing. Mark Whitener, David McCoy, Rodney Martin up the racetrack, Dana Island, Anna Parkhurst, the young Georgia Peach out of Evans, Georgia, and the defending Supercar Series champion of Travis Pennington in 0-1.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind Dalton Cook and Joseph Brown raced go-karts for 10, 15, 20 years together, so we got the front row right there with them two.
Absolutely.
Familiar with racing each other.
Now, real quickly, while you're watching the highlights, courtesy of DirtOnDirt.com, thank you to them. You're looking at this battle door-to-door for the lead between Joseph Brown and Dalton Cook. Joseph just seemed like he was really, really better on the top side of the racetrack. Dalton Cook tried to stay on the bottom, but what was the best way around the racetrack, Don? Because you raced in the hobby event earlier that afternoon.
The middle was the best when we was racing, but the track gets glazed over so hard in the daytime like that, and all them tires spinning on it. It's just like riding on a roller skate, I guess you'd say, ice track or whatever, because it gets really slick.
You saw a mud plug shoot off of one of the cars there as he dove off into turn number 4. I don't know if we can do instant replay or rewind during the live production, but you did see the mud plug. There's Kenny Collins, man, the real rapper. He had a good run for him, the driver out of Colbert, Georgia.
Beautiful car too. He was flying in the other class that he run. I think he run a different class also.
He also ran in the Super Late Model event. While you're looking on the monitor of some of the race highlights of the daytime event, which was the National Late Model Supercar Series event at East Alabama Motor Speedway for the 44th National 100, recap some of the other action that took place in the hobby division. Again, we have Don Cook on set from Forston, Georgia. He was in the race with the hobby drivers, and you held off a hard-charging Hobo Bosley in 15. You got the second spot, the bridesmaid spot, the first place loser, as they say. No disrespect, Don. And Robbie Metz got third in car number 9. And I was able to be down there. Such an emotional time in Victory Lane as we see Mark Wilbank's car go behind the wall. They come back for a restart of the race, and just talk about the hobby event as we look at the national. Oh, trouble front straightaway there. Anna Parkhurst got turned right in the middle of the pack. I broke in the play-by-play mode. I'm sorry, guys. But, yeah, just awesome racing there, Don Cook.
Yeah, and it's lucky to get out of there with that spinning right there in front of all them cars and not getting tore all to pieces.
Yes, sir. But we go right back into the racing action again, but kind of recap the hobby race.
The hobby race was good. I mean, I had to start 6th place. I mean, it is where you start, where you earn to get there. And then on top of that, the racetrack was mighty slick. Robbie Metz is a real competitor. Always,
Absolutely.
No matter what, he's always a good competitor. And you got Randy Renfro, which ended up getting tore up. And Chris Bosley was in my buddy's car, which come out of my shop too. Both cars, the first and second place car, come out of my shop. So I felt pretty privileged.
Absolutely. And of course, the eventual winner would go on to be, for the National Late Model Supercar Series, the driver of the 92 of the Flash of Joseph Brown. But again, recapping the hobby event, Hobo Bosley getting the win. Great story in that race, Don. I mean, we hung out the week before, had dinner together. And then, of course, Hobo Bosley helps work on the racetrack, helps work on track prep for those people, you know, that thinks that you just open the gates and you bring cars on the track and you warm up hot dogs and hamburgers and have a free-for-all. It just doesn't work that way. And then after Friday night practice, he made the conscious decision or subconscious decision to pack up, go to get some dinner, go back home, work on a transmission all night long, and then he puts it in Victory Lane.
Well, the transmission was in his other little car that he run hot shot.
Yes.
But at the state race, we did change transmissions at the racetrack. We
Wow.
went from a different kind to a brand new one we had ordered. And my buddy Donnie Prather that owns the other car, he helps me with all my car and that car. So the financial backing there that we get from Donnie Prather Remodeling really helps a lot.
And our thoughts and prayers continued to the driver, of course, of Alabama's Randy Renfro. Randy Renfro was in a serious accident. I've been announcing, broadcasting motorsports for over 23 years, from NASCAR to dirt and asphalt, and that was probably one of the nastiest wrecks I've ever seen happen. I believe the tire blew, the engine blew, and he just went barrel rolling off the racetrack in turn one, and that car is destroyed.
Yeah, it's destroyed. I believe it can be fixed, but what actually happened was the radiator hose blew off, and it was just water on the tire, and when that happens, you just instantly shoot off the end of the racetrack.
And I can tell you the most recent update that I have been given from the Renfro family is that Randy Renfro was okay from that incident. Recapping other events for the 44th National 100 on this recap, joined by Don Cook. Caden Cotton got a big win in the Junior Hot Shots division. And we're also going to talk about the Hot Shots in general. Stormy Cowart getting a big win, an emotional win in car number 5, in respects to 5J of somebody so respected in the Hot Shots world, Mr. NASCAR, Jonathan Merritt, who recently passed away, and we had a great tribute race for him.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I really appreciate Billy and y'all putting that on for the Merritts. The Merritts are good people. And the little boy, bless his heart, it chokes me up every time I think about it. We gave him a T-shirt up in the Ice Bowl at Talladega Short Track the week before.
That's right.
And you would have thought we gave him a $100 bill, and then now he's not here to wear it. I mean, it's just terrible how it ends up. You never know about these cars and these street cars, and it's just what you love to do.
Yeah, truly a sad story for Jonathan Merritt. Truly a great guy. He was the defending National 100 champion in the Hot Shots. He loved everybody. Everybody loved him. Doing stories and follow up on him, everybody I ever spoke to said they never had a bad word, never had a bad word about Mr. NASCAR, Jonathan Merritt. And he literally had came back from running at Talladega at the Ice Bowl and tragically got in a car accident and succumbed to injuries about 3 or 4 days later. But again, thank you to the families, to Terry Merritt, to all of the family and friends, to John Pate, so many people I could think of, Don Cook, and it was such an awesome tribute. I don't think there was a dry eye anywhere. The number 5 was showed up in the video broadcast pay-per-view. There were people putting the emoji number 5 on the screen, and it was just truly a special moment. I think that's something nobody will never forget at East Alabama.
That's for sure, because he was a fine young man, and his family's fine people too. I mean, we bought T-shirts. We just more or less to support the people.
That's right.
Support the family from the people of the racetrack.
And we're going to wrap things up here real quickly, as we're going to get more in depth on the career of Don Cook. But 602 late model sportsman, the winner was the Great Wall, Pat Wall, in a great race over Josh Taylor and Dustin Deem and Chris Woods, coming down to the wire. Bubba Gorman as well. In the 604 crate late models, the man out of Middleburg, Florida, in the Icon by Barry Wright, the Magic Man of Mark Whitener, held off a hard charging driver of Mr. Jimmy Thomas, and then of course the also young man out of Waynesboro, Virginia, the defending fast track world champion of Logan Robertson, making the trip from the Commonwealth of Virginia down to Phoenix City and got himself a top 3 finish. In the Road Warriors, what an awesome race it was in the Road Warrior division between Brian Robinson, Chris Barfeld, Nick Marsoff, John Michael, Brianna Vanette. When it was all said and done, Chris Barfeld got the win in car number 29. The street stock saw a Tennessee native of Justin McCree in the high roller race cars entry number 22 go to victory lane. And then of course in the Cajun Mini Stock Association, the Northeast Georgia Nightmare and the defending Cajun Mini Stock Association champion of J.J. Garrett from Georgia was able to get the win. He's also dominated, being last year's champion of the KMSA, and Don Cook winning at Talladega at the Ice Bowl and now winning at the National 100.
And J.J.'s competitive everywhere we go, so.
And then, of course, again, the Flash, Joseph Browning, car number 92, the Black Diamond for Mike and Linda Hurd, all the great people there, Denton Auto Sales, Lewis Auto Salvage, Auto Sales, I'm sorry, putting that car in victory lane. What a great race it was for the drivers that you saw the daytime highlights of. And now we're going to look at nighttime, Don Cook. And while we're looking at the nighttime portion, looking at the National Late Model Supercar Series, now let's look under the lights of what happened in the nighttime version of the 44th 44th running of the National 100. And of course, you look, thanks to our courtesy from DirtOnDirt.com, Jason Hyatt, the hitman, out in front in the Icon by Barry Wright. Now, I know you're a hobby stock driver, Don, but man, these Icon by Barry Wright chassis have become very popular lately.
Yeah, they're a nice piece. I mean, there's a bunch of big time drivers that race them. I mean, Ronnie Johnson raced them.
That's right.
Jason Hyatt. I mean, I think Juicy, which is Dalton Cook.
He's an Icon by Barry Wright. You're exactly right. And of course, you see Jason Hyatt leading the way on a rubbered up, slick racetrack, racing service, and everything was exciting. It was intense. Hyatt looking for that first National 100 trophy. And there is the Stinger chassis of Douglas Page's, or Douglasville, Georgia's Michael Page. And there is the climax of the National 100, the 71 of Jim Rogers, upside down, bounced off of Russell Flynn's car, kind of wheel hopped it actually, Don Cook, and he flipped it, but thank goodness the driver climbed out of the car okay.
Yeah, he's a real nice guy too, young man from Statesboro, Georgia, as you were saying. He was in the gas right there, and I don't know if he got sideways and caused it to flip over or what, but these cars got so much travel in them.
That's right. And now you're looking back on the restart here as Jason Hyatt leads the way over the upcoming driver for Chipstone Motorsports and also Randy Weaver in the 116 Outlaw by Weaver chassis of Benton, Kentucky's, driver of Tanner English. Michael Page, three-time Ice Bowl winner. You saw Joseph Brown win the National Late Model Series event on the highlights that we had. And again, daytime racing to nighttime racing, Don Cook, as they're watching the highlights here, just talk about how it's a completely different animal. And as a driver, do you like daytime racing over racing in the nighttime?
I love racing, period. I mean, it's sometimes the daytime racing's better if it's rubbered up and you're ready for it. You can guess the right tires. The tires is a big chess game. I mean, if you don't guess the right tires, you're nearby on a glass slick racetrack. And daytime racing, you can run a hard tire. All you really got to do is stay out of the dusty part where the cars sling it up, and it'll really take hold once the rubber's down on the racetrack.
Don, have you ever raced late model cars? Have you ever ran a late model car? Dirt? Have you ever raced asphalt besides dirt?
I raced asphalt at Cordell Motor Speedway first time racing late model cars, and I run them for about 2 years with Ben Thomas Racing, and then we came to dirt racing at East Alabama, which we'd already been racing there before. So
absolutely. And of course, Jason Hyatt still out in front as you watch on your monitor. The driver of the car number 1, still trying to reel in, trying to get through lap traffic, is that 116 of Tanner English. And no matter what he tried to do, Don, it just seemed like Jason Hyatt just had such fast equipment, such stronger equipment. And another thing, and we could talk about this real quickly as a driver, he set his car up for the long green flag run, because in a few moments you're going to see the highlights here where, we're actually coming up on it now, where you see Tanner English actually starting to reel in Jason Hyatt. And if you notice on the restarts, Jason Hyatt had such a stronger car, it took about 10 laps or so for Tanner English to start to close in as he's right there on the inside. Now he goes to the inside and he about made his move, looking for the lead. The lap car of David McCoy, you saw him on the bottom left of your screen on the monitor, folks, and he was trying to make a move right here. Weaver, the Outlaw by Weaver chassis of Tanner English, gets right to his driver door, and Don stopped by the Banana Republic. The caution flag came out.
Oh my goodness. That's the worst time in the world when you're out there in that race car and that caution flag comes out and you have to go back to the place behind you if you just pass somebody. So. And
again, as you look back for the restart, watch Jason Hyatt pull away, and that's something we talked about. Like, he had such a stronger car, Jason Hyatt did, Don, on the restarts. He could take off faster than Tanner English could. Tanner needed about 10 laps or so for his car to come to him, and simply just ran out of time, as you're about to see the end of this race.
If I had to guess, I would say Jason Hyatt was on a softer tire, and then the harder tires on the 116 car started coming in as they got heat in them, and that's what made him able to catch up some.
So Don, what is your thoughts as we're looking at the final laps of the 44th run into the National 100? Plagued by weather, bashed on social media, talked about junk because the purse got cut as you see the field coming to the double checkers. And of course, again, Jason Hyatt, winner of the National 100. Hobo Bosley, winner of the National 100. Mark Whitener, even though he bashed the track, people bashed on his team, the event, they still came to the racetrack and he won the National 100. So that's got to mean something to somebody to want to win that prestigious event, Don Cook.
Yes, sir. I tried for a few years myself before I ever won it, and I've won it 2 or 3 times in the past. The state race was always a little bit easier on me.
Right.
I've won the state race 5 times, and the National 100, it took forever, and I still haven't won a Jimmy Thomas Memorial.
So again, it means so much. So it's not about the purse. It's not about, the money. I mean, come on, guys, let's face it here. You're a realist. I'm a broadcaster. I was a nobody. I didn't make hardly peanuts when I first started announcing till I climbed the ladder, just like you do, Don. I mean, as a race car driver, you don't set out to have a living, to make a lot of money in the sport. The Lucas Oil and World of Outlaw guys, you got to spend $500,000 or more. $500,000 or more to make $100,000 being the national champion.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's like where do we, like you said, you spoke earlier about social media, Don. Is that what's hurting our sport? Is that what's hurting racing? Do we need to try to find a way to fix that? I mean, do you feel like the race was any different this year than what it's been in years past, besides not being in November?
Well, I mean, it's all the people that was ready to come in November, and then they had other plans. I mean,
right.
Some people have trips, vacations, work, whatever you want to say. I mean, they got somewhere else to go, and we're not in this for the money. I mean, if you're in this for the money, you better find you another sport.
At the end of the day, it's supposed to be about having fun. So definitely. Well, Don, buddy, before I let you go, man, where can we follow you on the world of social media, and what is your plans for racing in 2019?
Well, I'm going to race some Saturday night shows here at East Alabama Motor Speedway, and then I'm going to race the Bama Bash, and of course I'm going to race the state race and the National 100 again. So in between there, I'll probably run a few Saturday night races for my buddy Donnie Prather, and the car Hobo won in.
That's right.
So it's just going to be hopefully a great season for us to get off to a good start and win a few Saturday night races, get the car how we want it for the big races.
So now, CTV in closing, they ever decide to have a cooking show? The reason why I call Don Cook the Cracker is he makes some killer crackers, but you really don't cook the crackers. Where do they come from?
They're not cooked, but the first time I ever got them,
creating the crackers, so to speak.
When I got them from Metz. I got them from Robbie Metz.
From Robbie Metz, okay.
And
so he takes credit for it.
Robbie Metz, his sister makes them, and then his cousins bring them to me too. So that's where I got to eating them, and I'd always ask them to bring me a bag or 2 of them, and then of course everybody wanted to try them, and then I went on the internet and figured out how to make them, but they're not cooked, and I can't figure out how to don't get soggy, but they're great.
There you go.
Thanks, Robbie.
There you go. So that's how he got the nickname, the Cracker, Don Cook. Just like so many other drivers out there, like the Voodoo Child, Scott Bloomquist, the Newport Nightmare, Jimmy Owens, the Flash of Joseph Brown, Juicy Dalton Cook, all these guys that when they start doing something, it sticks out, a nickname comes to fruition. So Don Cook, thank you so much, buddy, for joining me on the set here. And real quickly, let everybody know how they can follow you on social media if they want to. Do you have a Don Cook racing page? Do you have a Cracker racing page?
Cook. Just Don Cook's all we got.
Don Cook, everybody. And of course, you can follow me at Wesley Outlet on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And of course, as always, follow East Alabama Motor Speedway at EAMSdirt.com, at EAMSdirt on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, East Alabama Motor Speedway on Facebook. On behalf of Billy Thomas, everybody here at Bean TV in Phoenix City, for Don Cook, I'm Wesley Outlet. As always, remember, it's fun when you're turning left.